mentality.
It's intense. I mean, even when you sent me that first video with Dr. Quantum, I had to watch it 2 or 3 times till it was like, because I wasn't really paying close attention. I was doing a couple of other things, and I finally went, you know what, if I'm going to be talking about this, I really need to get it. And I watched it really carefully, and it's intense. It's hard. It's so conceptual. It is pretty hard to wrap your mind around some of this stuff, but it's scientific, and I love that part.
I do too, and it's kind of my little hobby to research and read about this. So one of the first ways I really got into quantum physics was from the movie What the Bleep Do We Know?
That's right.
Which is a real user-friendly way to take a peek and begin to understand what quantum physics means about our reality, and then it takes some leaps to go on about spirituality and just our daily lives. So I purchased the film after I watched it, and my husband, who has a PhD in engineering and is the complete and total scientist, he watches it probably every 3 weeks to a month.
Oh, really?
Yes, he loves that video. So it's friendly for all, I think. And then I'm an avid reader, so there's a lot of books that I really enjoy that talk about quantum physics and a lot of the scientific experiments that have been done, but then also make a bridge to spirituality and who we are and what we are as energy beings and things like that. So it kind of blends those two ideologies that for a long time have not really seen a way to be together, is science and spirituality. And the first one is called, let's see if I can get a shot of this. It's called The Holographic Universe by Michael Talbot. And this is just a fascinating book that talks about reality in the view of what's going on in quantum physics. Another one that I really enjoyed that's a little bit less on the I don't want to say well, it's a little bit less on the entertaining and more really on the hard science, goes through a lot of statistics in this one, is called Entangled Minds by Dean Radin. He's a PhD as well. So Entangled Minds.
Entangled minds want to know.
Entangled mind wants to know. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what entanglement is. And I did have these 2 clips. Well, we have other clips, but I had these really 2 great clips that if you go on YouTube and you type in on the search Dr. Quantum, that are going to explain some of these things in a cute cartoon. He's very entertaining. It's based on the work of Dr. Alan Wolf, who's a quantum physicist, who is also What the Bleep, that is really explains this with pictures and in a way that's a lot easier than me just looking at the camera and explaining it. So Dr. Quantum.
And it's animated too, which makes it really
right.
fun. I mean, he's flying around, it's really, really, it's fun to watch, and it's very, very educational. I was kind of surprised. It really simplifies quantum physics in different theories of it to be understandable. And the first thing, because I just talked about entanglement there, one of the first precepts of quantum physics, or what physicists have figured out in the laboratory, is that once 2 electrons, which are a tiny bit of matter inside of an atom, now we're going back to 7th grade science class, okay? So just know an electron is a tiny, tiny bit of matter. Once 2 electrons come into contact with one another, they can be separated. This is an example that I use. So an electron can be in LA and one can be in Paris, and they were together, say 27 years before. So a piece of matter in LA and a piece of matter in Paris. And if one electron, say the electron in LA, decides to change position or do something different, move or something like that, the electron in Paris will change at the very same time that the electron in LA does. I know, simultaneously. That's what I find to be so amazing. Simultaneously, on the other side of the world.
And they theorize across the universe. So for those of us who believe in the Big Bang Theory, that at one time every single thing in the universe was connected, that means that all electrons are entangled. And they take the leap to say that every electron that shifts and changes actually affects every other thing in the world. Kind of like the butterfly effect.
Right.
But it happens simultaneously. So why the heck are we even talking about quantum physics when we talk about the mind?
Good question.
Good question. You're like, I don't care. So an electron and it shifts and that one shifts. What does that mean to me? What I take that to mean, and this is the world according to Brandy, based on a lot of the different things that I've read, is that when you shift, Mitch, because we are entangled, we are entangled more so because we spend a lot of time together. But even if I had never met you and I lived in Indonesia, when you shift, I shift as well. There's something about me that happens within my body, my energetic being, because we're all just masses of vibrating energy. We vibrate at different frequencies. So if I'm holding more relaxation, peace, and love in my heart, then those around me feel that. And I may be a shift or a change for others around me. Making sense?
It is making sense.
Okay.
So would it be this person vibrating at the strongest frequency that would be the one who would make the changes? Like, how does it determine? Are we all just changing all the time and affecting each other all the time?
That is something that scientists haven't quite figured out yet. It's very hard to measure and figure that out if you can think of the mass scale of all the electrons that are going on all across the universe and changing. So these are all theories. Definitely theories, and I'd love to hear, what you have to say about any of this. So if you want to email Mitch or I about any of the stuff we're talking about, quantum theory, I'd love to hear what you have to say. But these are all theories that, yes, and scientific experiments, that the stronger vibe, so to speak, wins over. And one of the things that that's so scientific, isn't it?
Well, let them do all the science. I just get to read it.
Some of the scientific research that has been done on this is around transcendental meditation, or it's called TM. And over the past 25 years, there's been over 500 scientific experiments on transcendental meditation. So when a group of people come together, or one person comes together, and they meditate on peace and harmony and love and bliss and all of those wonderful things, what ends up happening is that crime rates go down in certain areas. One of the big studies they did was July of 1993 in Washington, D.C. For an entire month. 4,000 what they call yogic flyers, or people who are specifically trained in transcendental meditation, went to Washington, D.C. and meditated on dropping the crime rate for 1 month. That's what their meditation for. So for a whole month, they met and they meditated. And the police chief at that time in Washington, D.C., said there is no way that this is going to happen, because the TM team said that they could drop the crime rate by 21% in D.C. And the chief of police said the only way that will ever happen is if there's a major snowstorm, because when there's a major snowstorm, then
people can't get out.
And so they don't commit crimes. They stay at home drinking cocoa, watching Leave It to Beaver, I guess, and they don't think about major crimes. But anyhow,
they're watching crime scene investigation.
Oh, that's right. CSI. So they don't have to go do it. So he said that's not going to happen. Oh, that only happens when it snows. So after the month of July, there was a 21% reduction in the most violent crime categories. And it happened. It didn't snow, but they got a 21% reduction.
It's so amazing about, I hear research like that all the time, and I think it's so amazing. It just seems so real and so amazing. And what blows my mind more than anything, Brandy, is that we don't take this kind of research and apply it. Like, why aren't we having groups of these, what do you call them, yogic flyers? I mean, let's bring them to Santa Fe, bring them to Albuquerque, let's send them to the White House.
Well, more and more of that is actually happening,
Send
Mitch.
them to Iraq. We need these yogic flyers.
Well, I have something on that as well. So I just want to say, in that that one experiment I just talked about, and I've actually got charts and things here, the source on that was the Institute of Science, Technology, and Public Policy technical report. So it was a 27-member independent team of scientists and community leaders who analyzed the crime rate drop. And you can Google transcendental meditation, yogic flyers. I think I just Googled, because I knew about this report, but I didn't know quite where to find it. I think I Googled DC crime rate drop meditation or something like that. Boom. I just was like, something like that. Google's amazing.
I know. I'm turning into like a Google nerd or something because of the show. I start researching stuff, and it's amazing how far down the rabbit hole you can get, where you just keep hitting the link to the link to the link to the link. I don't even know where I started with half of this stuff, but I could spend days on that Google. I'm not even a computer person. Anyway, enough of that.